excerpt was taken from the Full and Bloom interview with Dokken. You can listen to the entire interview at fullandbloom.com. Season 2 of the Full and Bloom podcast will launch on January 1st, 2021. Subscribe to our channel if you'd like to be notified as new interviews and excerpts are uploaded. How's Mick doing in retirement?
Honestly, I remember the day he quit that I want to retire. We were at the airport, and we knew he was struggling. You know, his knees hurt, his arms hurt, his elbows hurt, his fingers hurt. And I remember he pulled me aside. We only had 3 shows to go. We had a couple of days off, and we were standing outside in front of the airport. And he says, "Look, man, I can't do this anymore." He said, "I just can't." And I said, "You're not happy?" And he goes, "No, I just can't physically do it. I'm done. I've been playing drums for 50 years since I was 10 years old. And my body's worn out. My back hurts, and there's like little signs, like when we get off the airplane, we'd be taking our carry-ons and walking the baggage, and Mick would be way behind us, walking real slow and limping, and his hips hurt and his legs hurt. And, he just wore himself out like a football player. You play football, and you get beat up long enough, you can't play football anymore. And Mick had the hardest job in the whole band. I'd like to see anybody bash those drums for 50 years and not get injured. And same as Neil Peart and Rush. He retired because of all his physical problems. Because you play drums, it kicks your ass. Just flying would hurt Mick's back and his hips, just sitting in the plane. He'd be in a lot of pain. A couple of times I used to have to help him up out of his seat because he's just hurting. The only drummer I know that's been around forever since he played Woodstock in Black Oak, Arkansas, is Tommy Aldridge. When I did the Scorpions Whitesnake tour, I was shocked that I'd hear somebody playing drums backstage in the dressing rooms. And Tommy actually would set up a drum set and warm up before the show on the drums. I was blown away by that. Tommy has taken care of himself. A skinny guy, he would literally put a drum set in the dressing room with Whitesnake. He would warm up, basically play the show twice, and he'd be playing drums, warming up for an hour for the show. And I was very impressed by that.
So what is Mick doing nowadays?
Honestly, I have not spoken to him since the day he left the band. We were friends for 40 years. He went off social media. He shut all his social media down, his website. I heard a week after he got home, he put his drums up for sale. And I hear that he's just living in Arizona, riding his Harley and kicking back and playing PlayStation, But he kind of, for some reason, broke off contact with everybody. I know he did a video with Lynch and Pilson and Robert Mason called The End Machine, and he's playing drums on that in the video. But I did notice in the video of The End Machine, I know Mick pretty well, and I can see Mick in the shot, and he's playing a lot softer than he used to. But I have not spoken to Mick since the day he left the group, which was kind of sad, because I always...
God, no kidding.
We grew up together.
I know he went with Lynch for that period, but then he came back and has been with you, I think, ever since, right?
15 years, yeah. Right. He'd come stay at my house, and he lived with me, and I remember I sold my house in Manhattan Beach, and Mick and I went and rented one of those Oakwood Gardens apartments for a few months. We were living together until we went on the road, and so, Mick and I had a long friendship. Why he didn't want to stay incommunicado with anybody, I can't answer. You'd have to ask Mick. Mick sees it as his past, and he just wants to let it go.
Now, you and George seem to be on the mend. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, we're too old to argue.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. Is it just kind of age and wisdom that...
Not only now, nobody does drugs anymore. Nobody drinks, I mean, Pilson was a heavy drinker, back in the 80s. He started going to AA 27 years ago, and he's been clean forever. He's been in Foreigner for over 20 years. And so, everybody found their way. You either get clean or die.
Any chance of a Dokken Lynch album?
No. They approached me a while back to make another Dokken record. And I said, look, I have Dokken. I've got John Levin, who's been in the band 22 years. I got Chris and BJ. I have my lineup. We all get along. We're great friends. No bickering, no hassle. It's easy breezy. I said, I'm at peace with this band, and I'm going to stay that way.
Yeah, I just thought how Robert Plant and Jimmy Page went off. Both of you guys have huge names. I mean, just to do a separate thing where it's Dokken Lynch.
Well, we did some shows with George.
Well, of course, but an album, though, maybe, or something. Like they recorded an album and then toured it.
We did the live album 5 years ago, Reunion, and then we did one brand new song.
Right.
It's Just Another Day. We did that video, Original Members. And then we all went on our own separate ways. George has many projects going on. Jeff's got Foreigner, and Jeff produces other bands, and Jeff's got his studio, and Jeff lives and breathes recording. So, and he's got a family and kids, and You know, and George now is a grandfather. So the world changes. You know, we were all single in the 80s. Now everybody's got kids. My kids are grown. The world changed, you know, and your life changes, and your priorities change. You don't have time to bicker with your band members. You just get together and make music and go on the road and make it work.